Hello, welcome once again to another segment of Mind Your Business. This evening we will be talking to Marwin Strong. He is born in the small rural town of Muncie, Indiana. Marwin grew up in an inner city neighborhood rife with poverty, drugs, violence, and discrimination. After a near fatal attack by an unknown assailant, Marwin made a dramatic comeback from his former life by starting his own In the Teachers War Against Trenches. He started his own In the Trenches war against drugs and violence. His experiences in the streets and his unique speaking style, due to his trauma, make him a powerful speaker who easily communicates with those in the community, those still in the drug game, and people with various drug addictions. Now, Marwin is an author, a national motivational speaker, founder of Marwin Strong Motivation LLC, consultant, recently was awarded an honorary deputy of the Delaware County Sheriff Department in Muncie, Indiana, Star Press Person of the Year in 2007, one of the highest awards in Delaware County. Previous ex-President Barack Obama greeter welcomed him to the Muncie, Indiana, founder of Enough is Enough movement, not-for-profit organization with over 5,000 people nationwide supporting the movement to deter drugs and violence. Author Marwin Strong helped write a grant with other community leaders, Mayor of Muncie, Indiana, Delaware County Sheriff Department, Muncie Police Department, as well as other organizations, by writing a grant for $1 million called the Weed and Seed to bring peace and helping those that are facing addiction crisis, felonies, finding place of employment after being released from prison, as well as bridging the gap with the community policing. And well-known author that has just released his book called Back from the Shadow of Death. Now, we would love to welcome Marwin Strong to our show.
Hello. How you doing today? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
Man, one day at a time. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. It's good to see you. Congratulations on your book. Congratulations on all your achievements. And sometimes right in your own city, you don't get recognized, but then you go away and people start to notice things. So
Yeah.
congratulations again. Go ahead and tell us, Marwin, I've read your bio, but go ahead and just bring that to life and explain to us who you are and what brought you to this place you are now.
Well, it's first of all, I want to say, man, thank you for reaching out to me to do this, man. I know we have did a lot of projects together, but I'm very humble for this opportunity. It's very mindful. If it weren't from God on my side, man, I ain't know where I'd be where I'm at right now. I'm excited about that. I'm very humble. But just me, just speaking all over the world. I think this really hit home because of you and I. We both come from Muncie, Indiana. So we know the demographics, how we were raised. You're supposed to be a statistic as a young people, being an African American male and female. So I grew up in a family of eight beautiful sisters and brothers who I love dearly. My mother, which I missed to the bottom of my heart, man, and I lost her about a year and a half ago, and it's been hard. But it's one strong woman, man, that she raised us, ate all by herself.
Mm-hmm.
She had to do what she had to do, to help out, help what she had to do, and it's really be a blessing to us, man. So we didn't grow up with silver spoons in our mouths. We didn't grow up with had a Jordans on and nice shoes and nice clothes and all those things. So we had to come from humble beginnings, man. From food stamps, those to on and on and on. So I never knew that I'll become this person I am. Like I said, I'm open to admit to the world. I want an angel. Growing up in Muncie homes and around the neighborhood, low poverty, where you see drugs and violence, prostitution, you got the low ends and you got the rainbows and the Wednesday nights, women's nights, and you go out to Wiley, you got the talk of the town and in Parkview apartment. So I grew up in the inner city, and growing up in the city, you don't see those type of things where other people see outside the inner city, where people don't want to see you do well. Nobody really come up to you. A lot of people come to scared to talk to you because you're a young man. You out here thugging it. So growing up, I always found basketball and football and other things to try to run me from reality. And behind the four corners of that basketball court was my reality. But after I got off the court, a lot of things happened. I've seen a lot of my friends pass away over the years, and so I know how I feel. So just the time permit, I was always a great basketball player. I always had the talent. I always had the girls, and I always had out here selling drugs and doing that. Well, one night I was at a party in year 2000, no 1998 or whatnot, and some guy slipped some poison in my drink, and almost killed me. I was in the hospital for 2 years. They didn't know what's going on. Baltimore didn't know what's going on, so they allowed me to come back out the hospital. And my brother, I'll never forget, my brother Stevie literally picked me up and took me to Anderson, St. John's Hospital. They didn't know what's wrong with me. So it was just trial and trial and trial. So finally, St. Joe's Hospital shipped me to Indianapolis, where they did kidney surgery on me and found out that I got poisoned with iodine. And it was just one of them things where a transition that I had to happen. I had to go through a 2 year stint. So IU allowed me to get out the hospital. I goes back home, and the next day, that's all I remember. My mother said she found me in the bathroom having grandma seizures. Those are the worst seizures you could have because what happened was the poison went all the way through my body. I was blind. I was blind and all those things, and that's all I remember. When I got my coma, I just remember looking at people. Really didn't know nobody. Didn't know nobody who they were. And then things start coming back, and they counted me out. My family always tell me, not me not remembering what was going on. They used to tell me they called the family in the hospital or in hospital, said, you know what, Marwin's about to die. He's about to lose his life, man, through this tragic situation. We know what happened, about to die, and they called and said, there's nothing to do this. They start taking tubes out of me, and take tubes out of my body, and just everybody saying their farewell goodbyes, man. And the Lord brought me, and it had nothing to do with the Lord on my side. I don't know where I'd be. So I tell this all the way I go. I don't mind talking about it. I don't mind saying it because it's just a testimony that said that what God could do if you just give your heart to Him and turn your life around. But in the hospital, I had trachs in my neck, 8 IVs, peg tube. What a peg tube is teach you, you feed you. You had to feed. I had 8 IVs and from different medicines that it was getting me on, and had to go through kidney chemotherapy because I work on a 4% kidney rate. So they had to give me chemotherapy for my kidneys, and I lost 70% of my kidney function. So now I'm about at 83% kidney function. Can't drink sodas, caffeine. I didn't know this, but fish even have iodine in it.
Wow. Yeah.
So so it's those things. So I decided to turn my life around and really try to be the best man I could be. The greatest thing in the world, man, I never knew besides me working at JTBA, where JTBA back in the day was the summer. I learned how to fly an airplane. I'm about 13. That's the last job I had. So after I got out the hospital, I got the opportunity to go to the University of UMass at Boston, play basketball after I got the hospital. I'm gonna say it after I got the hospital. When the doctor said I was gonna be totally unable to walk again and talk again. But God gave me that chance. Came back and got custody of my boy. I want to raise my son to be a great young man. My father, he wasn't in my life at that time, and my daddy don't mind me saying this. Is in the book. My daddy was a heroin addict, and he had to leave Muncie because he didn't want to see none of his kids like this. So here I am, a young man, coming from nothing. And then the Lord brought me back to the same place I sold drugs at, Parkview Apartments, to be the Parkview public housing manager. And I thought that was like, whoa, that was crazy. So God was like, go clean it up.
Yeah.
So it's a song, old song say, I gotta clean up what I messed up. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, God, I know. At that time it was only 17 families. It was a 6-4 family complex full of drugs and violence, and people out there hustling on the block. And pretty much, I just, I came out there. I didn't have to tell none of my homeboys, get off the block or whatnot. They respected me. They see where I was going. They see what I was about, and they cleaned up. And that's what I know about. 2 months later, it was a 99% people from different families from all over walks of life. Ball State, white, black, blue, purple, Mexicans, Hispanics. You had blacks, you had whites, and here we got a whole nother community off that rate, man. So it's just a great thing. And after that, I have the opportunity to be the first African American Delaware County building commissioner. That's when I started my fight against drugs and violence. Um, and man, the list go on and on and on, and God just started opening up doors, man. And ran for city council at large, and it just, but like you said, a lot of times you don't be you notice in the place where you come from. And I always speak the word with Jesus himself said, prophet not accepted in his own home.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bible said he couldn't do too many miracles for the lack of their faith. They even see Jesus as the carpenter's son. Who was he? They didn't know he was the one that died for our sins, died on the cross for our sins. So I don't know what it is. So I never forget my mom telling me, man. A lot of people don't know this, but I don't mind saying this. But I basically know Ball State University about to take over Muncie Community Schools, and
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of crazy, man. And they called me and they basically told me, Marwin, your service is no longer needed with Musk Community Schools. And I love Musk Community School. They was great, and I had to respect the business piece about it. We was
Mm-hmm.
doing a thing called Swagger, and I kept it to myself, along with dealing with other stuff. I always been a strong guy. I always look back at where I come from, and I was like, oh man, I almost lost my life, so this is nothing. I get over that. So I never forget me going to my mom crying, and yes, men do cry.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Mom, I said, look, man, I'm thinking about running for mayor, and she listened to me, and she listened to me, she listened to me. She said, Marwin, I always been wanting to tell you something. I said, let me share something with you, Marwin. She said, you've been in Muncie a long time, man. You turn your life around. You preach funerals. You got people out of prison. You've been on boards. You brought millions of dollars to Muncie community. You help kids out. She said, when is Marwin gonna do for Marwin? And like it struck me. It like struck me. I'm like, yo. I said, this whole time for these 22 years, 21 years at the time I was at the hospital, all I've been doing was for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure everybody else community, make sure everybody was good. People called me late night, middle of the night. There was, do funerals, and I love doing that. So so I love doing those type of things. So in the meantime, I'm like, man, what is going on? Like, God, why did you tell me? But it's something my mother said. But I said, Marwa, it's time to leave. I said, well, Mom, I want to run for mayor. She said, well, Marwa, if you run for mayor, they're not going to do nothing but scrutinize your name and try to kill you and try to kill your character. And I thought
Mm-hmm.
about that, and I'm like, wow. So next day I know I go to Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a national motion speaker, so I go to Atlanta, Georgia. And basically just, up there speaking to over 5,000 people at Georgia Tech. And there was a lady that I seen, and she's from the school that I was at. And she started telling me about Dallas, Texas can, and then she told me to apply for it. And I said, man, I'm applying for this job, man. And Lord and behold, I got back home and they called me, and asked me the job. They asked me how much I could paid as a teacher and all those type of things. And I'm just like, man, like, I talked to my mom about it. She said, baby, look, she said, go and spread your wings. You know, don't put God in a box, Marwin.
Mm-hmm.
And right then just opened my eyes to everything. Well, in the meantime, as I was going through a crisis, I would write my book at the same time. It took me 13 years to write. I pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. So as I got to Texas, man, I'm like, man, like, you know what? It's time to do what God's doing, man. And we don't know, God could use anybody to take you to that
Yes.
place. You never know, no matter race, right, what race you are, white, whatever, man. And it's beautiful, man. So I got here, started teaching English, three or four TSI, persuasive paper, other expository, and I mean, having a good time with these kids. If you guys know what Dallas, Texas can is, it's a charter school. It's for at-risk kids, and for kids that have a second chance, kids that have been to prison, kids that have been caught with guns, kids that have shot people, and they get expelled out of schools. So we give them an opportunity down here in Texas to turn their life around. So we did that, man. And next thing I know, that year, I ended up being the head basketball coach, high school basketball coach. And I'm taken to the CMI State 2 years in a row. And the first year I got here, I got Teacher of the Year. It wasn't nothing about the objectives or whatnot. It was about me. I know the kids because every time I look at these young kids, I seen the old me,
Mm-hmm.
and it just sparked, and it sparked, and it sparked, and I started writing, and I started writing, and I started writing. Then I came back in 2007, and Boston University want to do an African American study project on me. It's for an hour and 55 minutes, and now it's all of every college library all over the world. My story. So this the things that I've done, man. I could go on and on about the things that God have done, man. So I said it's time to write my book. It's time to finish it. I dedicate it to my mother. It's time to let the world who know who Marwin Strong really is. It let the people know that, hey, just because you see this person right now ain't always been.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it's so many thousands of people are buying this book. I got so many podcasts this Friday. I gotta speak to hundreds and hundreds of doctors and lawyers, and I'm the keynote speaker for opiates. How people are facing opiates and those type of things. So that's it's awesome, man. And man, it's I could go on and on, man. So now I'm here. I'm here, and thank God I don't look like what I've been through, Uh,
Amen.
so so those are things that I'm doing. I got my own Enough is Enough movement. Over 5,000 people all over the world. I had it. It's still in Muncie, Indiana. But I just had to broaden my horizons. I just got my Marwin Strong Motivational LLC. So now I'm a consultant, something I always wanted to do. Got a lot of appointments lined up, man, all angles from human rights to housing authority type of issues, criminal law, and so it's just a blessing. But me coming from little old Muncie,
Yeah.
where we're a place of poverty, a place of people thinking that you can't make it. Young kids, got the same thing that we done back in the day, and you got to find that people with hope, especially African Americans. Even though I'm an elder, but I always want to make sure I be reached out of touch, and I always got to come back to where I come from to change lives.
Yeah. And I just applaud you for standing up and speaking out, not for others, but for yourself. Because oftentimes we do so much work for others. We do neglect ourselves. And so thank God for mothers that pray and that instill those words. And so nobody understands the struggle your mom had to go with having 8 children, and she could have did all types of things and not raised her children, because some people with 1 or 2 kids can't hardly make it, let alone having 8 children. And
Right.
then boys, I went to school with your brother Stevie and we grew up together. And so
Yeah.
he was bad now.
Hey, go on, lay it out. Go on, lay
But no,
it
I think back to when we were in middle school and he'd be walking down the hall and he'll just jump out and be like, or something crazy. But Stevie was
out.
always nice. But the thing I can tell you about Stevie is he always had manners.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so people don't understand. It's not where you grow up. It's not the situation or the circumstance you are brought up in. It's how you're raised. And
Yeah.
your mama raised you
Yeah.
with some good background. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? She
Yeah.
instilled qualities in you, and she instilled Christ in you, and she instilled manners in you. And
Yeah.
it didn't matter if Stevie was around adults, he was gonna be respectful to him
Yeah.
because that's what his mama raised him to be like.
Yeah.
And so you were his little brother. And so I was able to watch you grow up as well. And just seeing, and your sisters, every last one of your sisters and brothers, they all are kind people with good
Yeah.
hearts. And that's because that comes from your mom. And
Right.
so I know she would be very proud of all of you. But the fact that she had some words for you before she left here,
Yeah.
and you didn't let those words return void because you listened and you did spread your wings. And sometimes it's hard for us
Mm-hmm.
to do that. And sometimes we make excuses for why we can't do that. And so just the fact of stepping out on faith and knowing who God is, because it doesn't matter what people say about you, because I understand that. And that's the whole reason why I created this platform. It's not for me, because I understand the struggle. I understand the times when I've had people reject me or use me for my worth and then take the
Yeah.
credit for
Yeah.
it, or different
Hey,
things. And I
man.
get that, but it's not. I didn't care because it was a benefit something bigger than myself. And so when I created this platform, I didn't even create it. I was having a shower one day and God dropped it in my spirit. And I was like, okay, God, that's not exactly where I was going. And I don't even want to be on video talking to people. And who is going to listen to me or come on
Right.
here and
Right.
want to
Right.
talk to me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just little old Tanika in Muncie. But, it dawned on me that there are people out there that have a voice, that want to be heard, that don't get opportunities. And they will welcome those spotlight times to be able to stand up and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I offer. Because you might not give me an opening. Here's this platform right here that is
Yeah.
giving me an opportunity. And so I know that you reach a lot of people. You have a lot of followers. And so that is great. But look how much more when we connect and when we network that you can reach more because your
Yeah.
story does need to be heard.
Yeah.
There's young men out there that are growing up that don't understand that where they are right now, they don't always have to be. And they can look at you and say, oh, well, Mr. Strong, you a teacher now, but you don't know my story, and
Mm-mm.
we all have one. And
Yeah.
some of them don't make it to 25.
Right.
Some of them don't make it to talk about where they came from, and so it's a blessing to be able to see people that you have grown up with, that their struggle, their background, rise above, because so many times we hear that there's nothing for us.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes when there's nothing for us, we have to make a way. But it's not
Exactly.
us, because they say God, He makes a way out of no way. And when
Yes.
you believe in the Lord and you trust Him, He
Mm.
will guide you. And if
Amen.
you follow Him, He will lead you to a good place. So, brother, I commend you. I want to ask you, though, I know you and your mom were close and everything. So when she passed, how did that affect your life as far as you being able to pick up and go on? Did that set you back or did that make you work harder?
Well, see, the thing about my mom, she always told me and my brother and sister, you don't panic until you see me panic. That's
Mm-hmm.
every word. I don't care about lights was off,
Mm-hmm.
gas was off, water was off. I that always instilled in me ever since I've been a little boy. I always been a real like a solid guy. My brother Stevie was a bull. He protected me. He didn't have to protect me. And my sister, we always, cause we grew up strong. We say real strong. That's a
Yes.
bad name.
Yes.
From my uncle Elise to my uncle Mushies to my Aunt Mays and my uncle Herbert's. So always grew up around that. So what happened with my mama, I was real close to my mom. My mom,
Mm-hmm.
that was my road dog, you know what I'm saying? And her going through her situation, she always told me, when you come, every time, yeah, you could go to Texas, baby, but every month you come home. You come see about your kids. You come see about your brothers. And I still do that to this day, and I promise my mom, and so everybody see me in Muncie, but man, you always in Muncie. Well, I'm just promising I got to see about my mother and I got to see about my
Mm-hmm.
brothers and I got to see about my father. And I promise her that. Your word is your born, even when she dead and gone. But
Mm-hmm.
back with my mom, that my mama almost lost a baby. She almost lost me. She almost lost my brother. My brother ended up getting shot at Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
She almost lost him. So when it's something about a son and a mama that's like it's inevitable. It's like you cannot take that. So me, I always obey my mom. Even though my father, he was doing what he do, and I love my father, I always obeyed him, never disrespect my mom, never disrespect my father. And what happened was that helped me. Matter of fact, it helped me to live. I'll tell you the reason
Mm-hmm.
why, because the Bible himself said, honor thy father, and mother, so your days shall be
Yes.
long on the earth. Now you know what happens if you disobey her, your days shall
Mm-hmm.
be shortened. So I always look at that, and I always was around her and I always learned the traits, I always know how to grind, I always knew how to we was gonna eat. I keep it right there.
Mm-hmm.
So she taught me no traits, and she always told me, and she look at me. She said, "Baby, look, you don't panic until you see me panic," and I live off that. Through everything I've been through my life, man. I don't care what goes in my life, man. What happens in my life, her words will always come back. You don't panic until you see me panic, and I never see my mom panic.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people like, man, like a situation could come up, and they be like, man, like you ain't tripping. I don't panic until because my mama didn't panic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always cool, calm, and collected, always smiling. That's why because I don't have a care in the world because I know who takes care of me. So my mama passed. That's who I lost. I lost that encourager. I'm not trying to cry, but
No, I got you. Take your time.
I lost that encourager. I lost that person that cheered me on when nobody else cheered me on.
Absolutely.
I lost that person when folk talked about me. I could go to her house and she encouraged me and lift me up. I lost that person that tell me to keep going, baby. Don't stop. God done brought you too far. When I want to do something to a person, knock his head off, or do something I used to do. She was that person that remind me what's inside of me. You know, when God turned my life around, don't go out and do those things, Marwin, because a lot of things people don't know. Just because I'm a preacher, don't let this suit tie fool you. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and so I had to go to my mom and like, Mom, look, I want to do something so bad. She's like, baby, you can't do that. Don't let nobody see you sweat, baby. You gotta have alligator skin, baby. You know what you got yourself into. You know when you move up the ladder, new devils, new levels, new devils.
Mm-hmm.
So I lost that, and when I lost that, man, it like ripped my heart out. You know, nobody could tell me nothing. I went in isolation mode. I got down on myself. But my mama, I promise you, man, from the day my mama passed and went to the Lord, I dream about my mama every day,
She's
every
always
day,
with you. She gonna be
every
with
day.
you. She guiding you and
Yeah,
protecting you. You
every
know that.
day,
She's your angel.
every day. And I say, and my mama said, baby, you gotta write this book. If I die, you gotta keep going.
Mm-hmm.
She said, God is not through with you yet. She
Yes.
said, my day gonna come where God gonna call me home. And see, a lot of us don't want to hear that. But see, mama knows and daddy's knows and they getting older now. And when I found my mama passed away, it was inevitable. You couldn't even. It was like because there's two ways a person leave their mother. That's from umbilical cord and death.
Mm-hmm.
And everything I do is for her. For my beautiful children. That's the reason why I turned my life around. For them, to be a role model to them. And I got to treat them. Give them things I didn't have. They're not spoiled,
Mm-hmm.
but they earn it.
Yeah.
And I protect my kids. Until the day that I die. Have a beautiful, handsome grandson now, and now find myself getting older, and I can literally see that.
Yeah.
Now my kids are not perfect by no means, and I want to say that, but when it comes to daddy, I'm not a sperm donor. I'm a father.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's the difference. And I think more black men need to hear that. That
Mm-hmm.
your parent, your son and your daughters need you.
Yes.
And the reason why your son needs you because you need to teach him the way.
Uh-oh. Hang on. I lost you. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. And
Okay. I got you.
okay, and your daughter needs you. Your daughter needs you because they want to marry a man just like you. And it's so hard to sitting around young men, young African American male and Caucasians, not being around their kids because they're not with the mother.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes it probably be other way around because they're broke up. The woman don't want to see their daddy.
Yeah.
So I made sure the barriers. I made sure I broke those barriers. I
Yeah.
made sure I broke those generational curses. I made sure I was the man. I was gonna be the man because I have children in Texas. I see my children every day at the school. I see a child every day. All of my children, you
Yes.
know, and I gotta be the impact. And I got a lot of things. My shoulders are broad. You know, my shoulders are broad. Just the other day I tell a true story, man. That I had one of my kids that I had in school a couple of years ago, and he was about to commit suicide. And what happened with him that he inboxed me and he said, Marwin, he said, I'm gonna go and just take my life. I want to say thank you so much for being there for me. You always were there for me, And I called him. I called him. I say, man, look, remember when you was young and 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 you was young
Hang on. Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can bring him back. Just having a little technical difficulty.
Yeah, yeah.
See,
I'm right
the
here.
enemy will get busy when he don't want you to.
Yeah, yeah. Amen. I'm right here.
I can't see you though.
Okay. Well,
Hang on a minute. Yeah, it's dark. I can't see. Is your camera on?
yeah, my camera on. Hold on a second. Yeah, yeah. That's what happens, boy. They see the devil ain't
Okay.
gonna.
Well, I'm gonna just put your picture up here.
Okay, okay,
Okay. So that way, because I just want your picture to be up here with your book. So
okay,
go ahead and turn your camera off, and we'll just keep your picture up, so that way we can have that still going.
okay, okay. Yeah. So what happened was, I tell people all the time, man. You gotta be there for these kids, man. And you gotta be a great father, and and a great person.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I just
Okay, you there?
make. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I make sure I'm that great father and be a blessing to these kids, man. So I'm just who I am, man.
Right.
I'm just
Well,
sir.
I want to ask you this because you brought up a great conversation here just a second ago when you were talking about fathers and sons and fathers and daughters even. And so I want to kind of talk about, reconciliation because that I do a ministry of reconciliation because I believe in bringing people back together and families back together and most importantly reconciling people back to Christ. And you said something that was very important. You said to honor thy mother and thy father. And so if for a second, because oftentimes we celebrate and salute the mother because she's the backbone, but the
Mm-hmm.
fathers don't normally get that type of credit. And
Mm-hmm.
and I know your dad too, and he's always been a nice guy, and he's never said anything harmful or hurtful to me, and I've never seen him harmful or hurtful in any kind of way.
Right.
But sometimes as adults, us as children don't understand what the adult has had to go through or encountered or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, for a second, if you can just talk about, the relationship now with you and your dad, because I know you guys have a very strong relationship now, but what did it take for you to reconcile that relationship and look at, looking past whatever feelings it was as a child to becoming a man and knowing that, regardless of whatever, this is my dad and I respect him.
Hey, to be honest, like I never had the ill feeling towards my father. I never been the type of person to, growing up. My father came in my life. He went around. My dad left. He don't mind me saying this. It's in the
Mm-hmm.
book. My dad left. He was a pimp. He did what he did. He had a lot of women. He was a hustler. He did what he had to do. But at the same time, he left for the simple fact because he didn't want to see his children. He didn't want to see, his children to see him like that. So
Mm-hmm.
he left and moved to Detroit. And when he moved to Detroit, a lot of things start happening. A lot of things start going on, and so I didn't see my father for a long time. He'd come in and leave for one day, and then you won't see him for about like 3 years. But I never had an ill feeling towards my father. My daddy always gave me wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
He'd write me from prison or from jail, and I always had a strong bond with my father, even when he wasn't around, because I understand, man. Drugs is a terrible thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
We never know what people go through. We never know what people face. We never know what people did back in the day. They had teas and blues and those type of things, man. So, I mean, you have other people in this world, maybe not have a relationship with their father and their mother or whatnot, but I always stick to the script of the word of God, man, that tells us all
Mm-hmm.
to still honor thy father and mother. It don't say don't stop honor because they alcoholics or they
Mm-hmm.
drug addicts or they may have did something crazy. You always got to honor that. You always got to make sure that you be in there. Even they're not in your life. Always reach out to them, man. You never know what they face. You never know what they're going through. And so when my dad told me that, and when he came back in my life is when I got in my coma when I was in the hospital, and he decided to stay in Muncie, and he been there ever since. And I know he went around. He never been to none of my basketball games, my football games. I never could tell my dad, certain type of stuff. I really wasn't gonna tell my mama,
Mm-hmm.
because I was a managed little boy. So those are the things that I always did, and I always made sure that I stick to the script, man, and what the word says. Yes, ma'am, no, sir. And more than anything, my grandma Josephine Strong,
Mm-hmm.
she was a strong pinnacle of my life, man, as well, man. When Mama had to do what she had to do, my grandma Josie to walk miles and miles away, man, to come and see about us. So that's when they had them grandmas, them grandmas that they don't have no more. Where they teach you the roots and teach you how to get you switches and beat your behind, but we can't whoop nobody no more. But I come from that era,
Mm-hmm.
and so when it came to my father, man, I needed now. He gave me wisdom, things I need to know as a grown man. I'm 43 now, so I need him even more now, and I'm happy that he's in my life still. And his birthday was just a couple of days ago, turned 67 years old. So it's so much of a blessing, man. I think many other people need to get out of that mindset about our daddy did us wrong, our mother did us wrong, instead of asking, well, what did they go through
Mm-hmm.
to make them the person they are today? And you can always reconcile with your parents. Cause one thing about life, you got to get them flowers where they living. while they living,
Mm.
because when they dead, they can't, they're gonna be gone. You got so many people still mad at their father, the mother, uncle, the cousin, the nieces, and and when they gone, you can't even say you sorry no more. And that's where I'm at, and I'm a firm believer how it's important, man, to always honor your father and your mother, and and treat them right, and do things for you. And I know sometimes they get on your nerves, but you better not tell them that.
Mm-hmm.
But you just got to reconcile, and that's where forgiveness comes in. That's where, because the forgiveness not about them, it's about you, to set you free. So, my father, is one of, a pinnacle guy in my life, and I know he's not perfect, but he means the world to me. And I think a lot of my success, a lot of things that's going on from doing those things, that's honoring them, which I love dearly.
Yeah, and it's so funny that as human beings, we often forget how we got here. And so you had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And I look at parents as a vehicle that God had sent you here through. And so God gave you that parent for a reason. Because again, I say that he's very intentional. And so he knows what we need and he gives us what we need. Maybe he doesn't give us what we want, but he
Hmm.
gives us what we need. And so I was saying earlier that what happens to you happens for you so that you can help someone else.
Right. Yes.
And a friend told me that one time, and that'll always stick with me, and it'll never get old. But whenever we go through anything, whatever, if it's our upbringing, because we were talking about Joseph and how he was the favorite son, Jacob loved him more than anybody, and everybody
Boy.
saw it. And here he come with his coat, and we can ready to get rid of this dude because he talking about we about to bow down to him. I'm not bowing down to him. And but if Joseph had been somebody else, it might have been a whole different story. But because
Yes.
Joseph had the spirit that he had, he was able to go through and endure, no matter his own brothers when they sold him into slavery, and then
Yeah.
when the Pharaoh's wife lied on him, and now he's
Yeah.
in prison, and now you got the cupbearer and the baker talking about thank you for telling me my dream. I'm gonna
Hmm.
remember you, and then
Hmm.
years go by. You've been left behind, and
Yeah.
you still are humble enough to forgive. I mean, that goes without saying. And so when the day comes when those people, those same ones that sold you into slavery, that turned their back on you, that lied on you, that abused you, that
Mm.
mistreated you, when they come before you, that's when it shows the grace of God, because
Yes.
God
Yeah.
will put you in positions. And that's my thing. You cannot burn bridges. You cannot burn bridges. You cannot hurt people. You cannot do things because you don't ever know when you're going to have to cross that bridge or cross that
Amen.
person
Amen.
again. And it's more beneficial to you because, like they say, you could be entertaining an angel and you don't even know it. And
Right.
so, it was funny because one day I made a post and I was just laughing because I'm like, nobody knows you until they know you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and so you got to get to know people, and the thing is you got to get on the happy train. You want to be on in the train station, because when the train leaves, you know it's going somewhere. But see,
Correct.
wagons can break down.
Yes. Amen.
and,
Amen.
and we ain't got time for bandwagon folk
Right.
that
Right.
that don't have time to understand and to lend an ear. And you don't always have to like or agree with someone,
Yes.
but you can respect their
Right.
character. You
Right.
can
Right.
respect the work, because if somebody's doing great work, like say for instance our president, I don't say that he's doing great work. That's neither here nor there. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, if he was doing a great job and he was still the person that he was, how would people revere him at that point? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like you have to look past, is the person smart? Is the person charismatic? Can they talk really well? Well, it's a lot of people that can talk a good game and they aren't for the right thing.
Right.
But
Right.
if somebody, because they say God, he can use anybody,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Amen to that.
and so a lot of times we look for things to be a certain way or to sound a certain way or to appear a certain way. But Jesus came as a baby,
Yes, she did.
you know, and they wasn't expecting that. They wanted him to be this warrior, but wait, he's coming back. Be prepared, because you still ain't gonna believe it,
Mm-hmm.
but that day when he does appear, all the ones that passed him by along the way are now going to be coming bowing down, and he tells
Right.
us that. And so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
hold your head up, brother.
Yes.
Continue to do what it is the Lord called you to do,
Yes.
because what the ones that he needs you to reach, you're going to reach them. And you know, it hurts me sometimes because people have such a following, and they've got so many people that follow them, and they can follow them to the club, and they can follow them to do this or do that. And I just think, oh my God, if you use that work for God, how
Yeah.
many more people would come to Christ because you are,
Yes.
because of
Yes.
your influence? And so when people, you got to meet people where they're at. And
Right.
sometimes they're not ready to go to that next level.
Mm-hmm.
But if you plant that seed and they know that, hey, you a real person, you really mean what you say, I
Yeah.
know that I can trust that I can come and talk to you. And because you are the person that you are, you're not going to turn me astray. You're going to
Right.
forgive me, you know? And a lot of us often don't understand what that looks like.
Yeah.
And so I like the fact that you understand it starts with your mother and father. That's where you learn the first respect.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you learn the self-respect.
Right.
And then you are able to respect others. And again, it's not about a love or hate type of thing. It's a mutual respect
Yeah.
of being a human being. Again, this platform is dedicated to people, to humanize them, the ones, and I don't want to, I say minority, but when I
Mm-hmm.
say minority, I'm not talking about a color. I'm talking about the underdog. I'm talking about the one that goes hard in the paint all day
Right.
long,
Right.
but still people will overlook them, or
Yeah.
people will not think they're not good enough because they don't have a certain last name, or they don't have a certain area
Yeah.
code. You know, there are some good people out here with some good information
Oh yeah.
that need a chance, that need a
Right.
hand up.
Right.
And you know, when we can come on here and know where we've been and what we've come through, then
Mm-hmm.
we can show other people that, hey, you got a voice, let's use it. And
Right.
so thank you for sharing your voice. Thank you for allowing people to come into your life, because I had an incident with the police one night,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really crazy because with everything that was going on, I said the reason why a lot of this happens is because they don't see us as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you become real to someone, they recognize you.
Yes.
And so in this situation, my child was involved, and I was like, you know, that's my child. And the first instinct was, here comes the angry black woman. And I wasn't trying to come in that way, but it I was upset because my child was in a situation and it wasn't their fault. And so I knew that the situation could get bad in the heat of everything that was going on. So I stopped for a minute. And this is where my mindfulness came in, my practice. And I just took some deep breaths, and I started thinking. And I said, sir, can I tell you something for a minute? And I just started telling him her story.
Yeah.
You know, I need you to understand what's going on right now. This is a situation, and I need you to see this for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And when he heard this story, he looked at me, and he about had tears in his eyes. And he said, ma'am, I am so sorry. He was like, get your baby out that car, because she's 15. And I was like, you might think she's an adult. She's a child. I was like, she is a tall girl, but she is a child. And the situation that you think this is, it's not that. And I said, you know, this is a situation where it's just a misunderstanding. But to you, you just see a black man and a girl in the car, and you don't know this is father and daughter. And they had just met each other. This is the second encounter, and the police pulled them over and not knowing the situation. And I'm like, no, you know, this is the second time she's ever met her father in her life, and he was bringing her home. I don't want this to be a bad experience for neither one of them. You know, I'm like, her father at home, my husband and me, we're the only parents that she's ever known. But this is her father that she wanted to meet and get to know. And I said, and this is an experience that I don't want her to have a bad reflection on. And, you know, and just talking to him, the whole situation changed. And he was like, okay, I'm sorry. Because when we got there was like 3 police cars there. It was no need for all of that. But had I came out there and was like, I don't care what you say, it doesn't matter who was right or wrong in the moment. All that mattered was I needed to get my family home safe. And I needed my daughter to not have an experience that was bad. And so I felt like at that moment, we stopped being just the black people that that he was pulling over thinking he was going to arrest, and we started being human. And so when we tell our story and when we let our voices be heard, we are showing that we are human. It's not a percent, it's 100% human beings, and we have rights. and we have favor from the Lord, and that's why we still survive. And sometimes we got to go through things, but we have to continue to make our presence be known. Don't let nobody shut you down. Don't let nobody shut you out. Continue to tell your story. And where you're placed at now, these children need you. Sometimes you can only do as much as you can do, and you've done a lot for this community in this city. So they are getting something great now where you're at to be able to pour into them and expand that territory. So God bless you on that journey. Yeah. Marwin, are you still there? Are you still with me? You still with me?
Can you hear me now?
There you go. I
Yeah,
can hear
yeah,
you.
yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
So yeah,
you can see me too. I can see you
I
now
can
too.
see you.
Yeah.
Yep, I can see you. I'm gonna come back with you now.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So I mean, salute to you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. I mean, the city that you are in now, they have gotten somebody that can take them somewhere to another level. And that's a great thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah. The
yeah.
main thing you interjected about Joseph. Uh, I preached a message about years ago when I first got saved, and the title of my message from the prison to the palace.
Mhm.
And like I never forget a bishop, man. And then, no, his name was Evangelist Plowden came to me. He said, "Man, he said you have a spirit of Joseph." He said, "All through your lifetime, you're gonna be hated. People gonna down you. They're gonna talk about you. They're gonna make you feel like you're worthless." He said, "But you got favor with God, young man." I'll
Mhm.
never forget that. My pastor, Bishop Alvis Bond, and he raised me. And even when I was in the hospital, I really taught myself how to read the Bible, because you got to think, man, that I promised God. I said, God, you save me, you heal me, I'll save you all the days of my life. And it's better not to make one to make one.
Mhm.
And I haven't been perfect through the life. Nobody's perfect, but I always made sure I kept the faith. I always made sure I put God in the center of everything. And and that's a blessing, man, that you said that, man. And yes, I've been ridiculed. I've been ostracized. I've been overlooked at times, and that's just what it is. And again, somebody gonna see you. Somebody gonna give you the opportunity, and I got these opportunities now. Even though you have a lot of things where we from, and people want to look at you as the old you, and don't want to let go of the old you. But even Scripture said when you become saved, you become a brand new creature. Old things pass, but behold, all things become new. So yes, I'm still the same moral, but my mind didn't change.
Mhm.
I think differently. And I love people, all people, and I could go hang with my homeboys I used to hang with, and they could drink and they could smoke around me. That don't bother me. But what I'm showing the love of Jesus,
Mhm.
playing spades with them, and there's always that one person when they get drunk that say, "Man, Mom, I'm ready to change my life. I can't live this life."
Yeah.
So even people out there on the streets, they like, man, like they really don't want to be out there, but they have no hope, and really, I'm that hope. And I believe from my heart, God brought me back for me be the hope for every person in the world, from the underdog, from people of nature. Because I've been blessed. I done talked to millions of people all over the world. I done talked to doctors, the lawyers, professors, and that's something when you could do that, But I also heard it when I was in my city, and I'll be honest with you, it really hurt it that I did get overlooked by people, in the church world, in the political world, and just the world alone. Like, no, here go this kid. This is Martha Strong's son. This is Michael Hall's son. This is Strong. This is Pegues. Ain't no way he could do that job. So they do find family members and all that, and I had to take it. And I had always, I've cried many nights like, man, dang, man, like all the stuff I'm doing, and it wasn't about me. It was more about, look what I'm doing for God, And in 2007, it took a young man by the name of John Brook, yeah, to really look at me, and he's my lawyer. He's also he's the first one that gave me the opportunity to be the first African American Delaware County Building Commissioner. And other our Caucasians see me, and I had a lot of nominations. President Gore at that time. You had Paul Ball Brothers Foundation. You had people was running against me for this person of the year. And here I am, little old Marwin, that got the person of the year, and it sits right here. This is it right here, 2007. You know,
Yep.
it's a star president. And I'm like, and the things that accolades all over and over, man. And that really taught me something. Like, you know what? That's when things really start getting ugly. And I started seeing people how they treat you, and you got people that you used to hang with. They got that mindset. Oh, he think he better than everybody. No,
Hmm.
no, 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 no. And then you got other people fearful in politics, and you got so I deal with that situation. I deal with the same thing that Joseph got lied on, and it's just and it comes with the territory. If you can't live with criticism, there's no need for you to be successful. Because you're always gonna have critics. You're always gonna have those haters. You're always gonna have people that's praying for your downfall. But what God has for you is for you. Can't no devil in
Absolutely.
hell take that away from you. So,
Yes.
and that's where I'm at. And I always go back to my mama. Marwin, you don't panic until you see me panic. So,
Amen.
so
Yeah.
that's just,
It's funny that everything that we're talking about is on a spiritual level. And so I really appreciate that, because I do know when you are working together for good, the enemy gets busy.
oh
And
yeah,
we've
yeah.
worked together a lot.
Yes,
And
yes.
we've been in situations where the enemy has tried to pit us against
Uh huh.
each other.
It never
And
happened.
it breaks my heart though, because sometimes I'm just like, am I seeing what's going on here? What's really going on here? Am I crazy? Am I misunderstood? And sometimes you just got to take a step back. And when I reached out to you, I knew I could reach out. You know what I'm saying? I knew I could reach out to you because I know the type of person that you
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
And sometimes, again, until we really know somebody, know their story, know what they've been through, know what they've been up against, you just see the outside. And I share this. It's funny because I tell my kids, I said, I don't care what people ever think about me. When I walk into somewhere, if people say, here she comes, she thinks she all that, I be like, all they got to do is look at my toes. I promise. I probably still got on 6-month fingernail polish, toenail polish on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you, it ain't that serious. I really don't care. I said, so if anybody think I'm all that, all I got to do is look at my toes and see the chipped up toenail polish I got on. And then they can say, well, look, she thinks she all that and her toenails ain't even polished right. I don't care. I'm not here for what anybody thinks about me. I'm here
Right.
on a mission. I'm here because God put me in this place to reach some people, because
Amen.
some
Amen.
information, people have information and they withhold it from you.
Yeah.
People have resources and they withhold it from you. People have
Territorial.
opportunities and they will shut you out because they think for 1 second you might outshine them. Well, guess
Amen.
what?
Amen.
Whatever God got for you is for you. And whatever he got for me is mine. But see, the
Right.
thing is, whatever he give me, he know I'm gonna share it.
Yeah, right.
I
Right.
I don't have to have it all. My husband used to get mad at me. He'd be like, Tanika, you gonna give away everything we got.
Okay.
He said, you just, and I'm like, no, because it's not important. And anybody that really truly knows me would
Mm-hmm.
understand that I don't do it for me. I
Right.
come to
Right. Right.
serve. And so we need more people to stand up in
Yeah.
that sacrifice. We
Amen.
need more people, regardless of how hard it is, no matter how much rejection it is. We need people to stand up
Yeah.
and talk the
Yeah.
truth. And people don't want to hear the truth,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they do want to hear the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
They listening.
oh yeah. Oh, they know. I mean, like I said, I always live accordingly, man, to what I believe in. And nobody could take that away from me. If I strongly believe about something,
Hmm.
and I got proof of it. I'm not.
Absolutely.
I was born in not not last night. I've been
Hmm.
I've been around the world. Being young, I always get told like, man, you have done stuff that 80 years old haven't done yet. And it's not that, man. It's just the fact that when God anointed over your life, you got to understand, even with yourself, and the things that people try to, you know, put us divide. It couldn't work, and it is just not going to work because first of all, and like you said, a person don't really know you until they know you. Sit down, and talk to me. That was one reason why I wrote the book. Because I want people to know, hey, I want you to know, who I am. I want you to know why God brought me back. I want you to know what is my purpose, and we all got a purpose
Hmm.
in life.
Hmm.
I want you to see that if God done it for me, He'll do it for you.
Absolutely.
But there's some things you got to do, and those type of things. So really, I'm at a point right now that I guard my heart with all diligence, because out of that flows the issue of life. have grown spiritually and physically, and and I understand the dynamics how it is. Bad publicity is good publicity. So the more people talk about, I love it. Because they're gonna want to know what's really going on with this guy. And even with yourself. And I thank God that God put this on your heart because you are blessing people. And you got to understand and look at the dynamics about who you are inside. You feel
Yeah.
down, encourage yourself. Continue to look at your children and see what you're doing for. And one thing God loves about you and I is that we're not doing it for us.
Absolutely.
And now the outside world may see it and may think it, but
Hmm.
they can't do what you do
I
because
can't make this stuff up. I ain't that smart. I
right,
promise it don't come from me. I can't
right,
come up with this stuff.
right. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not
So
that gifted. I promise.
exactly. And I just want to encourage you to let you know, just keep going, man. Keep
Yeah.
shining, keep doing God's will, and there's gonna be some rough patches ahead, but right now, just use Rain-X. Rain-X is always a
Yes.
wax, and just let it roll off of you. If they ain't paying your bills, if they ain't putting food in your kids' refrigerator, in the kids' mouth, and you just keep doing what you're doing, man, and blessed to you and your husband. Y'all continue, to shine. Somebody's hearing you.
Amen.
And even people that don't hear it, they hearing you. They got
Yeah.
ears.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They try to block them, but you got ears. You're gonna hear.
It's okay.
Because I've had so much stuff on me, stuff I didn't even know I did. And I'm like, man. And then it brings stuff up that happened 20 years ago that I used to do and make it like it happened in 2020.
Hmm.
So that it comes with the territory. And when we are doing God's will, you're gonna have those Judas Iscariots, people that's gonna kiss your cheek and try to sabotage you, and even your own family.
Yeah.
So you just gotta look at it like that, man. Understand what you in, because the enemy's not gonna allow you just to get away things for free.
Oh
It
no.
ain't gonna be easy. So just know who you trust and know that you more than conquer. Know you can do all things through Christ, and just be the righteous, bold as a lion,
Amen.
and those are the things that we gotta look at. I know this Friday, I speak to over hundreds and hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
of
Tell
doctors.
everybody where you're gonna be speaking at and
Okay,
what you're speaking on.
I'll be on podcast, but what it's going to be, I'll be speaking to an opiate center. They got 42 opiate centers all around the world, from Alaska to Canada. It's headquarters at Tucson, Arizona. They got them in Marion, Indiana, uh, and I'm the keynote speaker to find out what can we do to stop opiates among young people and also older people. And they want me to share my story, get them strategic plans of how they could do it. And I think that's a good thing because I grew up in it. When you grow up in something, you could tell it. It's not,
Hmm.
you ain't gotta have no books. You see, I ain't got no papers around me because I've been there, I seen it. I lived it. So I get an opportunity with that, and I'm excited, man. And you never know who's gonna be in the auditorium, and you never know who gonna say so. So this is my opportunity, man, and I'm excited, and I'm more excited about me just talking to you, and also I just sent out my book to Oprah Winfrey and Mark Cuban and Tyler Perry. So I just, it's just a blessing, man, and
Mm.
so it just you continue, and I'm doing my thing, man. I'm doing God's will, and I'm excited, and I'm very humble, man, about this whole thing because ain't no way in the world I knew back when I was a little kid I'd be doing this. And that's what's so humbling about it. There ain't no way in the world.
So right now, where you are, if you had to go back to talk to that little kid, what would you tell him today?
Boy, don't be like me, you know.
But you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, you're gonna be all right. You just gotta keep on doing, man. So that little kid, man, I tell him, man, you gotta, some decisions I made I shouldn't have made. Some things that God had forgave me for. And I wish but I wouldn't trade nothing in the world. But because it made me the man I am now. I'm Stanley Godly man. Respect people, love people, and even the people that did it to me, I still love them, and I forgave them,
Hmm.
and that just shows the type of love of God I got inside myself, and I'm free, and the Bible says, "Who the sin sets free is free indeed," and I'm not worrying. I sleep well. I ain't got to watch my back. I haven't drank in 22 years, smoked weed in 22 years, and I popped the pill in 22 years, and the doctor didn't tell me I couldn't do it. I just decided not to do it because I
Hmm.
wanted to find a better way.
Yes. So now help everybody to know. I know you are on Amazon, but where all can we get your book from? Where's it at? How can they reach out to you for your consultant business? Give all your information so people can know how to contact you.
Okay, first of all, you guys, I got my own website for my book and speaking engagement. It's called www.marwinstrong.com. The book is also on Amazon, Book of a Millions, Barnes and Nobles, and every independent book site around the world. Again, it's www.marwinstrong.com. You meet my consultants. You can also reach me by my Gmail at marwinstrong 30 at gmail.com. Again, it's marwinstrong30 at gmail.com. Reach out to me. I'll be filled up, my calendar. And even you want a consultant, free consultants. One thing I do in a consultant, like I help out anything, from housing to crisis at the work, from employees to employees. I help out with various things you need, from businesses to counseling children to, you name it, civil rights. I was the chairman of the Human Rights Commission for over 7 years. Was blessed to have Yvonne Doyle, she's now Yvonne Thompson, which she's now. We have the opportunity to hire her, and she's doing an awesome job with the Muncie Housing Authority. So it's just anything that you need, any service you need, it's free consult. It's free. It's free. I can talk to you about it, let you know the price once we talk about it. But I'm pretty reasonable. But the main thing, pray for me, and pray that my business continue to go higher and higher and bless millions and billions of kids around the world. So those are the way you contact me. Again, to Nick, I want to say thank you so much for allowing me on here. Blessings to you and your honeys with your family. And it's been so much a great time, man, with you.
Well, I thank you, and I continue to pray for you and watch you on your journey. And I know God is going to do great things. Again, if you know anybody that wants a voice, that has a voice that wants to be on the platform to talk about what they've been through or what they're doing or what they've accomplished, if they want to talk about the Lord, because I've got Miss Judy Mays coming on. She's going to
Good
be
luck.
on the 2nd of
Awesome.
October. I'm sorry, the 1st of October. She's going to be on at 3, and she's going to be talking about some things. Yeah. And
Amen.
then Key Taboo, who
Okay.
used to be Brian Boo, is going to be on the 1st
Hey,
as well.
that's my
He's going to
boy.
be
That's my boy
talking
right there.
about his spirituality and the holistic herbals that he has encountered. He's got a business called Black Irish. And so,
Awesome.
those are
Blessings,
some
man.
things that, as minorities, that people are doing things that a lot of people may not know about. And I want
Yeah.
their voices to be heard. Tomorrow, I've got a couple of people coming on. One of them is an author, a young lady named April, and she lives in New York.
Okay.
And oh goodness, I've got I can't even think off the top of my head, but I know I got 2 shows tomorrow. And then the first girl that I ever coached, she's from Louisiana. This young lady, when she started out, when I met her, she was broken. Now, this young lady has started businesses and she has written a book, and she's going to be here on the 7th
Awesome.
of
Blessing.
October
Blessing.
talking
Blessing.
about this book that she wrote. So, you don't never know who you come in contact with that you can change their life or that you can inspire, that can actually inspire you. So thank you guys for listening in today, for joining in. If you know somebody that needs some help any kind of way, Marwin is giving free consulting, and you can reach him at www.marwinstrong.com. And you can also reach him at marwinstrong30 at gmail.com. Go ahead, give him a shout out, because I know he's in the business of helping people. And right now, the time that we're going through, we need all the help we can get.
Amen.
We need to know the face of Jesus. We need to know that when God puts somebody before you, don't reject the blessing, because we need all the help we can get. We need to come together. We need to bond together, and we need to raise each other up. Before I leave you, I want to say this. The other night at Cannon Commons, there was the International Day of Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It made me think about the day of Pentecost, because on the day of Pentecost, they all came together and they were all praying, and every tongue was able to be heard, and you was understood. Well, I could probably count 25 good people. And I'm not saying good or bad in that way. I'm just saying 25 people that I could count that were there praying. And it broke my heart, because I couldn't imagine, with the time that we're in right now, the God that we serve, He's bigger than COVID-19.
Yes,
He's
yes.
bigger than any disease. He's bigger than anything somebody can slip in a drink and try to hurt you with. He is bigger than all of that. And for us to be afraid to come together, because he tells us that we need to draw nearer.
Yeah.
And now this world has got us pulled apart. And it is just imagine if the city of Muncie would have came together on that day and started praying. Who knows what the gates of heaven would have did? Because he said, those who are called by my name, humble themselves,
And pray.
turn from their wicked ways and call out. Then he may open up the gates. But we ain't even got enough sense to humble ourselves to come together because we're afraid. He's told us not to be afraid. So come on, people, let's get together. Let's reach out to one another. Let's touch and agree. The enemy's trying to separate us. We can't be in agreement if we're apart. So let's come together and remember, as always, you were created with a purpose. God bless you and have a good night.
God bless
Marwin,
you.
don't